Some of the loudest cries for help are completely silent. They're hidden in everyday actions and habits we might even admire. Today, we're looking at the behaviors that seem normal on the surface, but can actually be signs of a mind in distress. First up, always being the strong one. We all know this person, the rock, the one who holds everything together for everyone else. But the person who never asks for help might be the one who needs it most. Many individuals navigating high-functioning depression or anxiety work overtime to appear fine. They're the first to smile, the first to crack a joke, the first to carry someone else's burden. This is sometimes called smiling depression, where a person seems happy to the world while suffering internally. Inside, they are completely exhausted. Not just tired, they are emotionally depleted. The National Alliance on Mental notes that a significant warning sign can be withdrawal from friends and activities even while maintaining a strong exterior. So remember, being the strong one isn't always a personality trait. Sometimes it's a coping mechanism, a carefully constructed mask to hide a mind that's sinking. Next, constantly apologizing. You know who I'm talking about. The person who says sorry for speaking up in a meeting. Sorry for taking up space on the sidewalk. Sorry for things that have absolutely nothing to do with them. This habit is often tied directly to trauma, to chronic self-blame, or to an anxiety that makes every social interaction feel like a test. It can be rooted in a childhood where mistakes were not tolerated. What sounds like politeness is actually fear. Fear of being a burden, fear of upsetting someone. The National Alliance on Mental Illness lists extreme feelings of guilt as a common indicator of mental illness. That's the kind of behavior that looks harmless until you realize it as a constant broadcast of the message, I don't believe I deserve to be here. Thankfully, therapeutic approaches like cognitive behavioral therapy are highly effective in helping people identify and challenge these deep-seated patterns of self-blame. Third on the list, losing interest in everything. Sure, we all lose motivation sometimes. A project at work feels draining. A hobby gets stale. But when someone stops enjoying everything, that's different. Suddenly, they don't want to go out. They don't care about food. The hobbies that once lit up their world now gather dust. This is a classic sign of clinical depression known as anhedonia. It's not laziness. It's the brain struggling to feel pleasure, connection, or purpose. The Mayo Clinic confirms that this kind of withdrawal from friends and once-loved activities is a primary symptom of mental illness. It's like living life in grayscale. But breakthroughs in neuroscience offer hope. Emerging treatments are targeting the brain's reward pathways directly. For example, research on ketamine shows it can help repair weakened neural connections, potentially restoring the ability to experience joy. Perfectionism has a certain look, doesn't it? Flawless projects, spotless desks, a life color-coded and under control. But this polished surface often conceals a turbulent interior. Beneath it can lie obsessive tendencies and a deep-seated anxiety. Psychologically, it is driven by mechanisms like a profound fear of failure and a need to control an unpredictable world. Perfectionism isn't a quest for excellence. It's a desperate attempt to manage fear. Fear of criticism, of disappointing others, of losing control. This intense pressure can lead to chronic overpreparation and last-minute stress, pushing people directly toward burnout. It's one of the most underestimated red flags for mental health, masquerading as ambition while quietly eroding a person's well-being. But that internal pressure doesn't always stay contained. Sometimes it spills out in unexpected ways. Some people struggling with depression don't look sad. They don't cry or collapse. Instead, they snap. They become irritable, impatient, easily angered by small things. This is particularly common in teenagers and men, where depression often masks itself as frustration. This isn't just a bad mood. When irritability is a primary symptom, it's linked to greater severity of depression, increased anxiety, and even a higher risk of suicidal ideation. It's a painful deflection. It's often just sadness with nowhere else to go. When lashing out becomes too exhausting or when the energy just isn't there, the next stage can be a quiet retreat. Canceling plans once in a while is normal life. But a consistent pattern of withdrawing from friends, family, and social events is something else entirely. It isn't just introversion. It can be an early warning of social anxiety, burnout, or a profound emotional numbness. People don't suddenly distance themselves because they've stopped caring. More often, it's because they're fighting battles they simply cannot explain. In our hyper-connected world, this can be complicated. Excessive social media use is ironically linked to increased loneliness, as it often replaces meaningful face-to-face interactions with hollow online engagement. The retreat is a defense mechanism against a world that feels too demanding. This internal battle takes a toll, draining the mind until even the simplest tasks feel monumental. Choosing what to have for dinner shouldn't feel like choosing a life path. But for someone grappling with anxiety or depression, it can. The mind gets caught in a loop of second-guessing. What if I pick the wrong thing? What if someone gets upset? This isn't laziness. It's decision fatigue, a state of pure mental overload. The cognitive resources are so depleted by the constant internal struggle that there is nothing left for the small choices. The flawless desk, the short temper, the unanswered texts, the agonizing struggle to choose a restaurant. These aren't isolated character flaws. They are signals from a system under immense strain. They are the quiet, often misunderstood language of a mind that is struggling. Recognizing these signs in ourselves and in others isn't about diagnosis. It's about compassion. It is about looking past the behavior to see the person behind it and understanding that sometimes the greatest battles are the ones fought in total silence. We all know that person. The one who can find a joke in anything. The one whose laughter is the first thing you hear at a party. Humor is powerful. It connects us. It heals. But what happens when it's the only response? When someone jokes about everything, especially their own pain, it can be less of a bridge and more of a wall. It becomes a highly effective defense mechanism. Psychologists have a name for this, the sad clown paradox, a phenomenon where performers and people in general use comedy to mask deep internal struggles like depression and anxiety. This kind of humor is a tool with 4 distinct functions: to deflect an uncomfortable question, to avoid feeling vulnerable, to keep others at an emotional distance, and to mask the wounds you don't want the world to see. It's the I'm fine joke delivered with the perfect smile. It's the laughter that just barely covers the trembling in their voice. A longitudinal study of adolescents actually found that this self-defeating style of humor can create a vicious cycle, predicting an increase in depressive symptoms and loneliness over time. It's a temporary relief that can lead to long-term isolation, because sometimes the funniest person in the room is also the loneliest. Just as humor can be a shield against pain that's already there, another behavior acts as armor against pain we're constantly expecting. There's being a realist, and then there's catastrophizing. This isn't just pessimism. It's a cognitive distortion where a person anticipates the absolute worst-case scenario in almost any situation. Constantly expecting disaster is often linked to generalized anxiety, PTSD, or chronic stress. Think of it this way. When someone has been hurt repeatedly, their brain can get stuck scanning the world for the next threat. It's not negativity for the sake of it. It's a survival mode that's forgotten how to power down. That tendency can even be influenced by personality traits. Those with higher levels of neuroticism, for instance, are more prone to this pattern of thinking. The friend who's always the life of the party, people we think we know, and sometimes they look exactly like us. Recognizing these behaviors isn't about diagnosing anyone. It's about paying attention. It's about understanding that behind the masks we all wear, there is a complex story we can't see. If someone came to mind as you were listening to this, maybe send them a text. Research shows that strong social support can be a powerful buffer against the negative effects of catastrophizing. And if one of these signs sounded painfully familiar to you, you deserve that same support. Asking for help isn't a sign of weakness. It's a sign of being human. If you found this helpful, make sure to subscribe. We're just getting started. And remember, compassion can save lives, sometimes long before medicine.